Good afternoon, everyone. First Alert Meteorologist Bryan Bachman checking in with a midday weather update here for you as we continue to pay very close attention to the progress of Tropical Storm Nicole, still working its way across now western Florida this afternoon, beginning that northwesterly jog toward the Florida Panhandle, where it is expected to arrive later this evening, and then on into tonight when it will eventually start to arc its way off toward the northeast and head toward us here in the western Carolinas. Hang on a second. My clicker's not syncing with Max 2. Hang on. Okay, there we go. I don't know why that took forever. All right, try it again. Going in 3, 2, 1. Hi there, everyone. First Alert Meteorologist Bryan Bachman checking in with a midday weather update here for you on this Thursday as we continue to track the progress of Tropical Storm Nicole, now centered a little bit north of the greater Tampa area on its route toward the northwest, eventually taking it toward the Florida Panhandle later on this evening, and then eventually making that northeasterly jog toward our area as we head into our Friday. Here's the latest forecast path, projected to be kind of right near the Florida Panhandle coast around 7 o'clock Thursday evening, before then heading into Georgia later on in the overnight period and closing in on the greater Atlanta area by about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Still projected to pass almost directly over our area here in the upstate, the North Carolina mountains, and northeast Georgia. You notice how quickly, it starts to pick up some speed. Already by about 7 p.m. on Friday, it is expected to be well off toward the northeast of us, and by that time we do expect a lot of the main impacts here to begin winding down. But make no mistake, we have a solid 24-hour period here, if not a little bit longer, where we're going to really feel the impacts of Nicole. So let's time it out here on Future Track, going from the noon hour into about 5 o'clock this evening. That's where we're going to start to see more and more of these showers piling in across the area, already packing some heavy downpours in a few spots. Periods of heavy rain at times will continue through 8 p.m. and just more and more of that rain piling in during the overnight period, all of it tracking up from the southeast in advance of Nicole's approach. Midnight hour, pockets of heavy rain, maybe even accompanied by some gusty winds and rumbles of thunder. Breaks in the action are possible throughout the overnight period, but they're not going to be particularly long if and when they do occur. And by about 8 o'clock on Friday morning, we're then seeing our latest push of heavy rain, although it's mid-morning Friday into Friday afternoon where it looks like we're going to settle into the peak intensity of the rain and the most prolonged period of steady rain. This as the center of what's left of Nicole eventually starts to track our way. You see here by midday Friday, widespread areas of moderate to heavy rain coming on down before the center of circulation tracks right overhead between about 3 to 4 o'clock tomorrow. Still quite a bit of rain coming in around that time. And then it's past 4 p.m. when things start to improve, looking now pretty consistently that by about 8 p.m., barring a couple of lingering showers, most of the rain is said and done. It'll still be pretty breezy at those hours, make no mistake, but at least by tomorrow evening, we expect to really start seeing some improvements. And then eventually heading into Saturday, while it will be a drier day overall, there might be a couple of late day showers in the mountains, but bigger cool down on tap for the weekend. Speaking to rainfall totals here, not much change in those. Still expecting around 2 to 4 inches of rain with locally higher amounts. This mostly includes the mountains of North Carolina, but some of that also applies to the foothill sections in northern Greenville counties, Pickens County, Oconee County there, even Rabun County into northeast Georgia and over toward Toccoa, possibly even right up to about the Spartanburg area in that 2 to 4 inch zone with locally higher amounts possible. Outside of that, it's not that the rain is going to be much lighter elsewhere. We're still looking at a general 1 to 3 inches of rain for everybody else, but where we're most likely to see the greatest potential for flooding will, of course, be in those higher spots. And on top of everything else, we also have, in addition to the gusty wind threat, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts are likely late tonight and on into Friday. There's also a low chance, especially in our eastern areas tomorrow, Spartanburg, Rutherfordton, in toward Union, Newberry, Lawrence, just to name a few spots there, where there will be a low-end chance for isolated tornadoes. It's just always a possibility with remnant tropical systems of any kind as it tracks across the area. It could certainly spin up an isolated tornado. And if the low were to, say, track a little bit farther inland, there's the possibility that that threat would also track inland with it. So even though right now, low as it is, the greatest risk is mainly in those eastern spots that I mentioned, everyone should at least be on guard for the potential of some severe weather when this system arrives for tomorrow. Here's one positive note, though. We're talking about a lot of rain here, but we got our latest drought monitor report for today. Severe drought conditions now in place across much of western South Carolina, western mountains of North Carolina, and into all of northeast Georgia now, with moderate drought conditions, or at least some manner of drought, being reported across the rest of the area. These rainfall amounts, while it is a lot of rain in a relatively short amount of time, it should help us make a pretty sizable dent in these drought conditions. So at least one positive that we can take away from all of this. As for the rest of your forecast, remember today and tomorrow, first alert weather days as the periods of heavy rain and gusty winds from Nicole arrive, persisting through Friday on Veterans Day. And then to follow Saturday and Sunday. Take a look at that. Drier, yes, but highs in the upstate only in the 50s starting on Sunday and carrying through the first half of next week. And don't expect it to be a whole lot different in the mountains either. Highs in the 60s for the next couple of days as Nicole makes its way through, but then 50s on Saturday, even with the sun coming out, and a prolonged stretch of highs only in the 40s. The bottom really dropping out on us after we get through the worst effects of Nicole.